Hey guys, welcome to another video from the three bios. You got myself and Nori today, and we're going to be talking about the Friday, Saturday games this weekend. And we're going to start off with the Liverpool game. No, welcome. How are you doing?
Hello, hi, host and chat, and obviously viewers watching. First things first, just want to apologize obviously for the horrendous audio from last week's show. Obviously, um, I made the mistake of leaving my AirPods in my ear as I was speaking, and yeah, it felt natural. I could hear Alex and nothing else outside of me. But obviously, listening back to it, yeah, the audio wasn't great. Having listened back to it myself, and I got the feedback from some of you guys. So we'll just do it raw today. Nothing in this one, nothing in that one. We're good. Take people. Let's go.
Let's go. That's what we like. We like feedback on this channel. So, Liverpool. Um, I watched the game. You watched the game. I know you were quite impressed with some of it. I was quite. I
Lots
did
of it.
enjoy some of it as well. I was quite impressed with Bournemouth in the first 15, 20 minutes, as I said to you. Very good high intensity press, but obviously they faded out with just the quality of Liverpool. What's your take on the game?
As I was kind of flicking through and catching the highlights, I didn't have kind of a thorough look at it in the same way that you did. But what I'll say is that as far as Liverpool, well, I'll start with Bournemouth actually. In the initial stages, they were looking really plucky and kind of ready to kind of have a go at Liverpool, and that exposed back line with obviously the lack of a defensive midfielder that Liverpool have got a need to make up for. Um, I thought when they went a goal down, Liverpool that is, that I didn't really have any worries or concerns about their ability to be able to get back into a game like this. Obviously, I mentioned before the vast array of attacking options that they've got, the versatility and who can play where at any given time. A couple coming off the bench as well, yeah, firepower galore. And it showed and proved itself as Liverpool eventually kind of got themselves back on parity with them, back to 1-1, and then eventually ran out 3-1 winners. Some of the keynotes that I've pointed is Luis Diaz, the Colombian attacker on the left, exciting, skillful, live wire kind of player. He equalised for Liverpool with a kind of really well worked acrobatic kind of bicycle kick.
Mhm.
Um, Very impressed with that, but not surprised whatsoever. I think he's a perfect Sadio Mane replacement. Really, very similar in build, in characteristics, and attributes, and everything, even in attitude and hunger and aggression. So yeah, brilliant for that. Diogo Jota led the line again for Liverpool. So big money, £100 million or euro might have been Darwin Nunes on the bench again. Jota's not really one that kind of really impresses right from the outset because unless you kind of know football to different degrees and layers and levels, and, and he's not fast, he's not overly fast, he's not overly strong, he's not overly skillful. Um, if you've kind of got an eye for the game, then you see exactly what he is and what he does. He occupies the centre forward position, but he's only I think like 5'9" or in and around that. But what he does do is he kind of contributes with his determination. I know every player is determined, but he's willing to kind of stick his head on the end of things that your regular average players won't. More often than not, he does get rewarded for his bravery. You know, he will get a sneaky goal, a sneaky topo, a sneaky head on something. Everything that he seems to do just seems to be sneaky and calculated. But actually, he's going that extra half mile to kind of contribute to the team and try and get some end product to his game. So yeah, needed to touch on him. He leads the line for Liverpool really well, and he got himself I think the third goal in the 3-1 win. Again, kind of gutsy. Oh look there, keeper spilt it. There I am. Stab, toe poke, 3-1, game done. And I also saw him fashion a couple of chances for himself as well, where he kind of wriggled through a couple of the Bournemouth defenders, and some of it was skill, but most of it was drive, from the heart. With his two-footedness as well, it means that he can basically shoot from any type of angle. He can dribble from any type of angle. It's not kind of lopsided to his right foot or his left foot. He uses both quite effectively,
Mhm.
quite frequently. Um, yeah, Bournemouth, they gave it a go in parts, but this kind of scoreline was always going to tell for Liverpool, to be honest. The quality of Liverpool's attack and the overwhelming quality in their midfield, especially in an attacking sense, I think it's just too much for the likes of Bournemouth to be able to deal with.
Mm.
Um, the Liverpool midfield I have to touch on as well. Like Jurgen Klopp, he's done away with a couple of his defensive midfielders, and when you look at the lineup, it looks very attack heavy, to be honest. And I've seen him when he signed the new player for the Mendo, and he was kind of welcoming him to the club. He said, yeah, we could do with you here. We really need you here. We got a good team, very attacking. And he almost said like with a wry smile on his face, like he almost knows, like, listen, we're not playing at the end of the season. We're just going guns blazing, and we're just going to see what happens. 4-3, 5-4, 7-1, or whatever it might be. We're going to go 7-6 even, actually. He's happy to. He seems more. He seems happy to emphasize attack and care less about defending, which is weird if you want to collect all the major trophies, because you kind of need both. But it's fair play. It's admirable. He's rolling the dice and he's going to see what sticks. I like it. I like the bravery. That number 8 that they got, the Hungarian guy, Dominik Szoboszlai. I only kind of really know of him because we were linked with him a couple of seasons ago, and I thought he was a right winger. Because you look at him and it's like a bit of a Cristiano Ronaldo regen, really. Build, height, frame, looks, playing style. Even down to the haircut, he looks like a copycat, look-alike wannabe type of CR7. But when they gave him the 8, when they signed him this season, I thought, okay, well, what's that based off of? Number 8 is normally reserved for kind of a central midfield, engine room enforcer type, like Steven Gerrard or Jordan Henderson. And having looked at him now, after initially looking at him a couple of seasons ago, I can see that he's filled out a bit. And what he's done is he's taken those skills that he had when he played out on the flanks and in the attacking parts, and he's kind of implemented them into like a central midfield technician, basically. He was happy to kind of, make 60-yard runs and things like that, drive with the ball, use his skill to kind of get himself out of little tricky situations. And he won them the penalty to, I think, take it to 2-1 with a nice little cheeky check back inside the box. Bournemouth defender sticks a leg out. Looked like a little bit of a softie, but at the end of the day, the Bournemouth defender didn't get any of the ball, and he got all of the mat. So in my book, that's goes to the black and white, and the black and white of it is that is a penalty because you didn't get didn't get the flipping ball. Yeah. So that midfield, Alexis McAllister in there as well. Again, overly attacking central midfield player. He got himself a really, really harsh red card, I thought. Where it's kind of one of those newfangled letter of the law type of decisions, where it's like, listen, mate, I know that if I told you to both shake hands and I gave you, a hard yellow, then you'd probably be like, you know what, yeah, it was studs up, but he caught me, fair enough, and everyone would be kind of okay with that, But
yeah, definitely.
the referee probably being watched by, his paymasters and what have you, expected to kind of dish out the law accordingly, and he may have gotten reprimanded himself, the ref, if he didn't give a red for that studs up challenge. McAllister bemused at the decision, obviously, perplexed. Klopp kind of give him a pat on the back, like, listen, I know in our football that's a hard yellow, but Premier League football, that is a soft red, I'm afraid. So there was that, but all in all, very entertaining game. I know that you wanted to touch on a couple of Liverpool's deficiencies. Happy to let you cover that if you like.
Yeah, for me, the beginning of the game, obviously, they played Trent coming in as the number 6, coming in, just setting in just below or just above the defense, obviously. And for me, it didn't work. Twice, the first time he got caught, the exact same thing. Touching the ball, he can't play in the half turn. He can't play on that half turn. Trent can't. He just can't do it. And unfortunately, midfielders can't just turn in the half turn and expect to get away with it. They need to be able to do that. They need to be able to accept the ball, play in the half turn, and go for it. That's what the beauties of Rodri do. That's what the likes of Casemiro do. All these players in that role, whether they were doing it 5 years ago or now, they're still able to collect it on the half turn. Twice he got caught. First time he was lucky. The second time led to a goal. Right? So you got to look at it and think, what is Trent? He can't defend. We all know he can't defend. We've seen that last season. He's really good at going forward. Right? Fantastic. He can't play in the midfield. So there's only one other position you could possibly go, and that's looking at going right wing. But then you're replacing Salah. Can he do that? I don't think so. So for me personally, I think you need to look at what is he doing and why is he playing that role? Why is he trying to shoehorn him into that team? Why? For me, I just think you need to look at a replacement personally. Um,
Wow. Wow.
um, I just don't. I think he's too much of a liability. He's cost him two goals in theory, but one of them was ruled offside, so technically not. So for me, he needs to look at Trent and work that out.
I
Look,
think
Virgin van Dijk is absolutely world class at the back, right? He's but his recovery pace and his recovery, he just doesn't seem to be up to scratch yet. All right, and maybe that'll come towards the end, like within a couple of games. I'm not too sure, but look, we'll see about that. What's his face next to him? Connor. What is it? What's his name?
uh,
Kanate. Did I
Konate,
say
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, Kanate. Really, really good. Really impressed with him.
yeah.
Really, really like him.
Beast.
Really, really good centre back. But yeah, personally, and then Robson's just Robertson, and he's steady Eddie all the way through. You know what I mean?
I think it's just if I can touch on this, I think
Yeah.
as far as the Trent Alexander kind of puzzle and enigma, the enigma of Trent is that Liverpool have kind of blooded themselves a top class academy player that's kind of burst through and burst through the ceiling and cracked it and basically transformed himself into a world class footballer. And this is somebody that they can be proud of, the fans on the terraces and the Liverpool coaches, the academy staff. There's a lot of pride that goes with seeing him turning in week in week out in the lineup and being selected. But the thing with that is that you don't want to tie emotion with kind of footballing decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So you're left with, oh, we really like him. He's one of our own. Blah blah blah. He's super talented. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest. There
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
isn't.
yeah.
There probably isn't a fullback in the league, maybe in Europe, who has got a kind of 70 yard cross switch of play
No.
from right to left, the same way that he does. His dead ball ability is top notch. His set pieces from corners, free kicks, his crossing alone is just a weapon that can just unlock so many doors. But unfortunately, for all of those world class attributes, he is quite average defensively, and a lot of the time he's kind of left flagging and chasing shadows the other way when he'll either get dispossessed or one of his teammates will get dispossessed. He doesn't have the defensive acumen and the natural kind of inclination to defend, to be good enough at this level at it, to be reliable and depended on as a defender. So Liverpool, of
Which is a
course,
bit of an issue when you're a right back.
I hear that. But then when you've got a footballer who is as talented as that, I'm sure Klopp feels like he has to find a way to fit him in. Like you said, the Mo Salah position on the right wing is an absolute given. So he's not giving that up anytime soon. And
No.
you would swap one for the other. So the next kind of the next most viable or available option is going to be maybe more of a central right-sided role. But then that leaves kind of more room for exposure when you defensively you are a defensive liability, because
Yeah.
at least at right back you've got a whole touchline to cover you. No worry about what's going on your right hand side. Only really what's going on here and maybe in behind you. To your left and in
Mm.
behind. Whereas a central midfield role, you need like wing mirrors either side, because you need to know what's going on here, behind, and ahead. And I think you're just exposing him even more by playing him there. Just play him at right back is what I would recommend, and just work on his defending one-on-one. Do separate one-to-one training drills with some of the best attackers that you've got, and just tidy and sharpen up that one-on-one defensive skill. I think you can get there with him, but he is too good to drop.
He is,
Like,
yeah.
Where his attacking output, yeah, you can't ignore it, can you? It's too good of a
No,
weapon
no.
to utilize. So
And to be fair, look, Salah's the end of this season got 1 year left in his contract. I think he will move on from Liverpool. I really do. Next season possibly. So maybe there is a room for him to develop into that right side, and then for him to look for another right back. you never know. Again, you never know what Klopp's going to do at the end of the day. For me, the McAllister was nowhere near a red card. Personally, you've seen a very similar challenge against Bruno in the Spurs game. Very similar in the sense that the studs were up in the air. But my argument is, if the ball's in the air and to be won, it's a 50-50 challenge. You got to go for it. Your studs are gonna be in the air, right?
Win it. I hear that, and that's
And
a gamble.
Yeah, it is a gamble, but you shouldn't be penalised for gambling. You shouldn't be. You know what I mean? If it's late and reckless and your studs are up, 100%, right? That's a red. I agree, right? But if it's not, like that was a 50-50 challenge. He's got it a tiny bit late, right? And it is a tiny bit late just because he's been flicked away last minute. And the ball, when it was flicked away, was in the air. Like, I don't know.
And I don't think the malicious intent was behind it either. I think the perception of the intent of the challenge also has to be looked at as a factor. And I know that's subjective because you can't tell what somebody's intent is. You're not married or anything like that, But sometimes your body language, your mannerisms, and the level of aggression that you put into a particular challenge can help when you come to the decision that you make as far as what kind of punishment to give someone. And for me, he doesn't have a history of this. I know you can't go off of, but naturally you're going to, aren't you? Like look him, that knobhead down the road who lives a couple of doors down. Yeah, I know he's aggressive. So
this is why Xhaka gets a lot of reds, because they look at his history as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because Xhaka doesn't really have like an overly aggressive nature to him personally. But his is more clumsy than anything, I think. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was a soft red, but it should have been a hard yellow.
Yeah, I definitely think it's 100% a yellow. I think it's a yellow with a stern warning. Do you know what I mean? Of like, be careful. You know what I mean? But hey,
yeah,
you know what I mean. I think even the Bournemouth manager came out and said after the game that he didn't think that was a red, which said it all, really. To be fair,
if you play football, then you know. If you play football, then you don't need telling. You already know.
No.
You played the highest level.
Yeah, Gapco in that midfield for me didn't work. I just don't like him as a midfielder. I really don't like him.
No, I don't like him there either. He's clearly a forward. He looks like a forward. He walks like a forward. He talks like a forward. He eats like a forward. He sleeps like a forward. He drinks like a forward. He is a forward. Why are you playing him in midfield? But
then again, out the front three, potential four, if you including Darwin Nunez, who are you going to replace? He's not in that team, is he? So again, he's trying to shoehorn him into a position because I guess he spent, how much did he spend on him? 50 million, 60 million? Something like that in January, wasn't it?
Cody? I really can't tell. I just think he's just got this intention on just throw all of the weapons in the pot, and whatever hits and lands, we take it and we move. Get all my attackers at the end. If anything, I feel like Gakpo may be spearheading the attack, and then Jota tucked in just behind, and in that little crafty pocket of the number 10 role, I think would be a better fit. Because it does look a little janky and all over the place, but I'm sure that's time will tell as to.
And to be fair, talking about the red card, I think that after the red card, Liverpool upped the level of the game again, which is really weird. It's like give us a reason to piss us off, and we'll go out and perform even more. You know what I mean? It upped their level, and then to be fair, the first half, Jota was not great. I'm not going to lie to you. Couldn't get his foot on the ball. Wasn't great. And I was thinking on the bench, like Darwin Nunez is there. What's he got to do to get a game? What's he got to do to get a start? Because Jota last week wasn't great either. Do you know what I mean? I know he's gone on and pretend like he's got a goal, whatever. You know what I mean? So he has upped his game there. So I'm guessing that's what he sees in him, and that's why he's there. But
I think
what has Darwin Nunez got to do?
Well, I think what Nunez has got to do is brush up on his link play, because one of the kind of facets of one of the most kind of unique attributes of Jurgen Klopp's attacking philosophy is that he will sacrifice the output of the central striker to enable for the guys to the left and the right, the wider guys, to kind of accumulate the numbers as far as goals and assists. You get down that line, you do the work for me, you do the layoffs, the flick-ons, the 1-2s, the give and goes, this and that, and the likes of a Salah, a Mane, a Diaz, a Jota occasionally
It's what
on
Firmino is really good at.
exactly, and it's an absolute shocker that they let him go. But here's where they are. Jota is the better link player of the two between him and
Mm.
Nunes, even though he's not the best link player in the world himself. He's
No.
just the best fit for that role as far as when you look at the two of them by comparison. So that's where we are with things, I think, with Liverpool.
Yeah,
Shouldn't have
definitely. Obviously the next game then was obviously Brighton. Yeah, Wolves Brighton. Look, I only seen bits of this, but what I seen was Matoma's masterclass for me. Sally March is or Solly March, is it Sally or Solly? Whatever, March.
Solly.
Um, yeah, Solly March. Absolutely, mate. They've got rid of two quality midfielders and replaced them with what looks like another two quality midfielders. It's brilliant work by Brighton. What do you take up on the game of what you saw so far?
Yeah, so again, another game that I caught the highlights of. I obviously you can't watch 90 minutes for every single game. We all got
No.
lives. But what I did take from the game, Wolves were hosting Molineux, coming off the back of that really, really unlucky Man United defeat, where obviously, as we discussed previously, they absolutely ran United's midfield ragged at Old Trafford, and they were just it was like Moses parting the tides, and all of the followers kind of just walking through the gap that he's left, basically. So I expected good things from them, Wolverhampton. They really surprised me, to be fair. One of the favourites for relegation, actually, certainly as far as you're concerned as well. I think they were one of your picks for the drop, but as far as the bottom three. So, yeah, in expecting that, I then looked at the opposition who they were hosting, and of course, they had to face Brighton today, didn't they? One of the kind of surprise packages of the last maybe 3 to 4 seasons. Just an absolute well-oiled, well-drilled, slick machine that, just it never fails to impress me every time I watch them. Some of the notes that I've got noted down for this one, having watched and caught the highlights, is that, Brighton, obviously, they've turned up there. I've now kind of established and found them to be like a very street smart side. They're capable of dictating games. They're capable of getting themselves back into games. They're capable of keeping possession. They're capable of getting you from the flanks. They're capable from doing something centrally. They're capable from the aerial presence that their centre backs offer, both in both boxes. So there are threats going either way as far as that goes. They got a lot of weaponry there, and because they're not filled with like star-studded names, you kind of caught on the hop a bit when one of them does you up, and you're like, oh, where did he pop up from? Why is Pascal Gross, I don't know, bending one in from 25 yards? Or why Solly March, it was like a left winger or a left wing back playing on the right wing back, popping up in the box and getting himself 2 goals today. Like, you don't know what you're going to get with them in the best of ways. One thing I do notice with Brighton, obviously they did end up beating Wolverhampton 4-1 away from home, is that Danny Welbeck they've got up front, and he's like obviously a bit of a United cast off, and then didn't quite work out with Arsenal either. Lots of talent and lots of physical ability and attributes. I think what the idea with him up front is that he allows his work rate and his determination up front allows for the guys behind him to kind of express themselves and do as they please. But for all of Danny Welbeck's work rate, he doesn't really have any business starting for a team like Brighton. I'm being truly honest, as a weapon off the bench, fine, add a bit of height, a bit of aerial threat, maybe, perhaps, possibly, or maybe stretch some defenses behind with some through balls in the last 20 of a game, cool. But yeah, he doesn't really have the link play and the football and the technical ability to be able, like he looks like a bit of a sore thumb on a fine hand,
No, I think the only reason he's playing is obviously just to protect Ferguson a little bit more. Still young Ferguson, being 18, 19. I think they're trying to bed him into the Premier League a little bit more. So I think he's just doing that job
Yeah.
temporary for Ferguson, obviously, to get up to speed and get eventually fit in full time. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the only reason he's there at the moment, personally, if I'm honest.
I just wanted to touch on Matoma as well, the Japanese left winger. Oh my god! So in my notes as I'm watching him, I'm just trying to put in keywords. What I've got for him, Kaoru Matoma, is basically Japanese electricity, because again, he carved through, he ran through
3-4 players.
1, 2, 3, 4 players. Look at me, well, gliding through them with ease, and then he managed to compose himself and slot a nice, tidy finish for Brighton.
He's got that like messy-ass dribbling where the ball does not seem to leave his foot. It's ridiculous. Absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous.
This is the guy who went and studied it, and I don't know, he got a diploma or a PhD or something in the art of football dribbling. I didn't even know that was a thing that you can go and achieve in life. But someone has studied dribbling to this degree. Is there any wonder and any surprise that he's become a master of it? Brilliant goal. I've got Solly March. We've got 2 goals of the 4 today that Brighton scored. Just listed basically as one of my underrated favourites in the league. Basically, he should have been called up for England a long time ago. Especially
isn't he a centre midfielder who's now playing on the right wing?
To me, I know him to be quite versatile, but I've known him since his time in the Premier League to be a left wing back, someone who's up and down patrolling the left flank. But he's like, in spite of that position, he seems to have like some really good left winger attributes. Very good crossing, very kind of purposeful with his when the ball's at his feet, and whether to put a ball in with his left foot, whether to curl one around the outside, whether to check back on his right and put one in there. The finishing, having shots on goal. Yeah, he's a very brave left winger and a determined one. And I think he can go far. It's just a shame, though, that I think he's in his either mid to late 30s. Sorry, 20. I think he's about 28, maybe. And you just feel like,
he's 29.
29, yeah. So, but, he's in form and he's here right now. So, if Gareth Southgate's watching, please. He was in the stand, Southgate, actually. I hope he saw Solly March today because, Luke Shaw, bloody hell, after some of the last performances, he should be a bit worried about his place in the England team.
He had a couple of... Both of his goals were very similar. Them driving runs, and both of them, it was like identical in a really in a weird way. Do you mean just one from the other side, one from the others?
Yeah,
very
exactly.
Identical. So it's quite impressive. That, to be fair.
One of the guys who set him up. I don't know if you noticed him. That what's his name? Julio Enciso, the little Paraguayan.
Enciso, yeah. They're attacking. They're number 10 technically. He's kind of playing as, isn't he?
I don't know if you noticed, but he's had a squad number change, and they've now given him the number 10. So De Zerbi seems to fully trust in this little kid, man. I think he's only like 19 or 20 or something. But wow, as a sparkling little South American diamond, man.
The app has got absolute 19 years old. He is attacking midfielder.
Oh, stunning. Another mention I want to give is Estupinian, Purvis Estupinian, the Ecuadorian left back. Yeah, I've got down here for him solid, dynamic, athletic, committed, as good as any kind of fullback in Europe. With I think Ecuador now showing to be quite a hotbed for unearthing unpolished gems. If you look at Caicedo, as well as opinion, there are obviously some very talented footballers knocking around over there. So anybody looking to...
Where's Diaz from?
Colombia.
Damn.
Yeah, but he popped up on the score sheet, didn't he? And he's
done well for my fan, and he assisted one, I believe.
Overly impressed, very impressed with that guy. Yeah, watch out, man.
I'll be crying out for him at United, and I think next season he will be going to a big club. May not be in the Premier League. I think it may go to Europe even potentially.
I see it.
You know what I mean? But quite impressed. And again, you got to give a shout out to Milner doing a job at right back yet again. Steady Eddie controls the pitch. Really, really good. Really impressed with him. I always want to see a little bit of him
doing a job. Still need convincing on my part. I still feel like this isn't a guy that you can be starting for 38 Premier League games.
No, you can't.
But so far, so good. Fits in well. Good cover. Versatile. Yeah, take it. Ticks the box, doesn't he?
And obviously Dunk, I still don't know how he plays that type of game. Like still high line, still we're obviously pressing at the center of the park as well. Obviously with the high line, still able to do that and still able to recover. He's just, every time I look at him, like I think of him, you're just a Maguire, mate. No chance that you're going to be able to do this. And then he plays the role perfectly. It's like another Ben White. He should never be able to do it, but does it? You know what I mean?
Let's just admit it to ourselves to stop looking foolish and silly, and just say it for what it is. He is a very good, top quality centre back.
Yeah. Yep, you're right, 100%. Talking about top quality, we're going to go on to the next game, and
can Can we give a little something to Wolves and their deficiencies and just what I feel like they're lacking?
Yeah,
Clearly,
and I'll tell you my opinion on that. And my opinion is that if they had any top quality striker, they would have beat us. If they had
much.
any top quality striker, they had chances against
Yeah,
Brighton. It's not like they didn't have chances. I think the
yeah.
stats lied. The stats didn't lie in that game in the fact that the amount of goals, the amount of goal opportunities, the goal expectations, the amount of shots on target, the amount
wasn't
of
much.
shots created
Wasn't much in
wasn't
it.
much different. You know what I mean?
No.
And I think the only difference is that they haven't got a striker. And they've had this problem for what, 3 seasons now? You know what I mean they tried to get Diego Costa in? What a flop he was. Do you know what I mean he just wasn't nowhere near as good?
Bit over the hill now, so a bit harsh to kind of go in on him too much. He's a Premier League legend still, mind. But yeah, I hear you.
But
Yeah.
you're bringing in a striker like that, you can't expect him to be fit, and he flopped at the end of the day. You know what I mean? At Wolves, I think did he even play much? I don't remember actually him playing, to be honest with you.
Didn't
Um,
didn't helped out in bits and pieces, but yeah, yeah,
they
finishing
need a
definitely.
striker. I think they're crying out for an out and out goal scorer, and that's it. Just someone who's consistently able to just get in that box and just put a foot in.
Well, they had a premium one in Raul Jimenez, who was absolutely banging the goals for them until he got that horrendous head injury at Arsenal. That's left him with like a scar like the length of my finger. And
Mm.
obviously, the same player never came back. He's now left, obviously, and he's gone to Fulham. Yeah, as far as my notes on the Wolves aspect of the game go, the very first bits of notes that I put together were Wolverhampton squad littered with poor finishing throughout, as well as lopsided quality at centre back and full back. But yeah, to touch on the finishing, I mean, whoever it is, whether it's the central striker, the wide players, the contributing midfield players, even the defenders that you expect to pop up with one every now and again, that Ait Nouri and that Semedo, they're pretty wasteful whenever they get a chance to either do something decisive with the ball, or whether that's
Yep.
put a cross in, a decent cutback, or even just finish one of their chances. Um, as far as the actual squad, I agree with you completely about the need for a goal getter and a striker. But obviously, these days they come at a premium. Harry Kane just got 100 million euros, and there's not too much knocking around when you look at
Budget.
two or three others past him. There's maybe a handful of them now. They're two centre backs. I don't really like the look of them. They've got is it Craig Dawson, who's kind of been a bit of a journeyman.
Yeah.
Been at West
And that
Ham.
Killerman, is it? Is that his name?
Gilman, yeah, left in the absolute dust for that Matoma goal. Not good enough. You look at a few of the personnel in their midfield, even their goalkeeper, and some of their wingers, and you think, wow, some
Yeah.
really top-notch, top quality footballers here. But then the centre backs, very average, very mid, and the full backs I think need to be a lot more consistent because they've got talent, but yeah, they're getting sucked into that pool of poor quality along with the full backs, the centre backs, sorry. So yeah, some work for Wolves to do, but they've definitely got a good base to build off of, and not every
Yeah.
team is a
Yeah.
Brighton like. So.
No, and obviously it was another red card in that game, 95th minute, so it didn't really affect the game. But
Yeah. Who was that?
the
That
one
was
thing,
uh,
Nunez,
yeah,
Nunez got
Nunez.
the red. Two
Like,
yellows, can't even appeal it.
he was one of the star players at Old Trafford, and I thought he played quite well today. But the fact that a red card happened in the dying embers of a game that you're losing 4-0, 4-1 down, kind of tells you that you've had a bit of a frustrating afternoon. You've given a kick out. You've had enough. And you just want to be
Yeah.
sent an early bath, and that's what came of it.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that early, to be fair. You have to wait 30 seconds, and you could have gone for one anyway. But hey, you know what I mean? I want to touch upon one thing, not to do with the football, really. The referees are obviously been told to clamp down on a lot of things this season.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of suspensions towards the middle of the season now that we're going to see, obviously picking up with yellow cards just alone, let alone red cards and stuff.
Yeah.
This is where squad depth is going to be coming in huge, and it's only going to affect the so-called smaller clubs more because they haven't got the depth and quality as much as the bigger clubs. Do you think this will affect the race for obviously top four, the battle for the bottom three, etc., etc.?
I think it's going to affect things as far as managers and how they kind of get their troops in order for games and in their preparation for games because You're going to have to obviously cut out a lot of the antics that normally go on in a Premier League game. Fouls being given against players who are then picking up the ball, carrying it, and walking on over to the ref, stopping progress of play in the meantime, whilst contesting the decision that went against them. And then when the referee tells them to clear off, they're kind of running back then to get in position, still with the ball under their arm, still preventing players from taking a quick free kick or whatever they want to do with a set piece. You'll get booked for that now, and rightly so. Little things like kicking the ball away as well, when a foul's being given against you, just to kind of buy yourself a bit more time to get back into shape. Instant yellow, cool. My next dressing room team talk after seeing all of this, if I'm a manager in the Premier League, is like, listen, guys, all these little tactics and stuff, like these little kind of, no, leave it alone. I don't want to see any of you out there doing that, because if you cost us and if you compromise the team by getting yourself a cheap yellow and then getting yourself a real yellow and then ending us up down to 10 men, then I'm not going to be happy with you. You know what the objective is for the referees nowadays, and the new kind of agenda that they're promoting as far as fair play goes. Get rid of it, cut it out. If they can cut it out, then I guess they can just deal with their squads as they are. So I don't think really that you need to beef up the squads to combat this. You just need to educate your players better on their conduct on the pitch. And then
I think it will affect a one particular type of player, not an individual, but a type of player a lot. The type of player like a Rodri who will do that cheap little foul and then obviously time waste to stop the play to get his team back in position. That will affect him and his play. The Casemiro, brilliant at doing it as well. All them types of players, that maybe them centre defensive mids who like to give them little free kicks, yes, but like they're not quite a yellow, but I think they will be given yellows more now, if that makes sense. Yeah. Them type of fouls I think are going to really, which is, I think, is an art of the game. If you're able to do that, I think it's a really good art. I think it's a really good skill. It's something that, okay, it's the dirty work of the game, and I think they're trying to cut it. I don't want that to be lost in the game still. So I like that side of it still.
My remedy, my answer to that is prevention over cure. Every single time it works. So here's what you do in this kind of scenario. As far as what I'm concerned, personally biased, obviously, prevent these things by not committing these acts and therefore not suffering the consequences off the back of them. Be better prepared. If it means that you can end up conceding a goal, if you don't have somebody down cynically and whatever, accept it, own it, swallow it. But believe that your team can go and claw back the deficit and get yourself the win eventually in the end. Be a bit more smarter and a bit more streetwise.
I just had to touch him on that because
good riddance to the dark arts. I've never liked them. I've never been a fan of them.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's I think it's a good part of the game. I think it's stuff like Rodri thrive upon it. You know what I mean?
What we'll get now is purer, cleaner football and probably more goals scored off the back of it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, definitely. Right, let's go on to. I've already had my say on this. Obviously, the Spurs United game. I have had a little video. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. But yeah,
please check it out. Hometruth.com. That's the website, isn't it?
Something like that. I just want to touch up on one or two things. Maybe personality wise as well. So Luke Shaw, really, really poor again. That's 2 games in a row now. I didn't think he was great.
So we're now referring to the late afternoon Tottenham versus Man United kickoff.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was Spurs 2, United 0. Personally, Luke Shaw was absolutely terrible. Really, really poor. I think we need to start dropping players because it's not working, is it? You know what I mean? He played the exact same team as last week, which ultimately should have lost the game. It didn't. For me, the subs were terrible. The mentality of the players head dropped straight away as soon as one went in. You could see it. You got to have a little look at obviously Ten Hag and his transfer policy of buying in the incorrect players at the wrong time.
Come on.
And you got to have a look at that midfield. He bought in a midfielder that doesn't work. Obviously, like Bruno and Mount do not work together. End of. It's a fact.
He's a busted flash. Busted flash. This is why he couldn't get in the Chelsea lineup for as long as it was, and they finished at 12. So come on.
But you got to play one or the other. Do you know what I mean? You either got to play Mount or you got to play Bruno. Which one do you want? 'Cause you can't play two number 10s.
I wouldn't even call them number 10s. I'd call them eight and a halves. I'd call them. But either way, they're too
Yeah,
similar next to each other because
100%.
their strengths combined just basically give you the same thing, but doubly so,
Yep.
which gives you then a double net negative for what they don't give you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
whole
agree. I
dynamic
agree.
of that.
Anthony on the right hand side did not track back once. He's so easy to mark. I think I could mark Anthony. I'm telling you now, I would love to mark Anthony because I'll be happy as fucking pig and shit. I'm telling you, right? All you got to do is let him have the ball, get close to him, wait for him to do some stupid fucking flick. He runs into you, falls on the floor, boof. He either goes out for a throw and you got the ball. That's it. He doesn't hold the ball. He doesn't look to bring in players. He doesn't look to do anything useful with that ball. The only time he's good is when that ball pops over the top, he runs onto it, and if there's nobody on his left-hand side, he's all right. If there's someone standing next to his left-hand side, he can't use his right foot, so he's fucked. So, for me, he needs to be dropped. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
think...
don't know. I don't know what was more offensive, is the allegations against him or his attacking contributions on the pitch.
They're both more and more shocking as they get along. But hey,
dossiers, come on, ex-wife and that.
We paid 70 million for him as well, so I don't know which one's worse. Sancho on the left.
That's a million for every page. Yeah, ex-wife.
Sancho on the left. Look, for me, the one time Sancho got caught slipping is when they scored. Personally, Luke Shaw was fucking holding hands with Martinez. Don't know what the hell he was doing. Don't know why he was so central. I don't know why he was so deep. You think it's because obviously the way they've been told to play with Luke Shaw coming into the centre, into that next to Casemiro role.
Just if you want my take on that goal that you conceded from the United left-hand side,
please.
I think it was like a counter-attack of some sort where
correct.
Spurs were pushing it up the pitch on the right-hand side. One of them dispossessed, I think, Garnacho, or one of the United players was dispossessed.
Bruno got dispossessed.
They got caught on a counter-attack.
Basuma played a quality ball to that Kulusevski, is it?
Just defensively, I noticed that Luke Shaw was a bit out of position, leaving the left back area vacant, and Garnacho being the next nearest player as the one needing to close down the guy bearing down on goal before he went to go and have a strike on goal. But what Ten Hag has done is that he's encouraged Luke Shaw to kind of tuck in and kind of play in an inverted role, which obviously leaves that kind of space in counter-attacks. And then you've got a very kind of rookie, young wide man in Garnacho, who is not really as kind of defensively kind of in tune, as far as how to cover his fullback. So he was a bit half-assed and half-committed and half unknowingly almost kind of unable to kind of do his job in a defensive aspect of things. If you had a more experienced left winger covering his fullback, I think he would have put in a bigger and a better shift to kind of cut that Tottenham attack out. But I think this is what happens when you play young players. They don't quite know all of the facets.
They're going to make mistakes.
Exactly, and I think that when you're a young attacking player as well, one of the last things you end up learning is about your due diligence needed in a defensive aspect when you don't have the ball. So that's what playing an 18 or a 19-year-old, and you paid the ultimate price for it and conceded the early goal.
But I think for me, you got to look at Luke Shaw there with the experience. No, it's not like he run 10 yards. He ran 20 yards with the ball with nobody even close to him. Luke Shaw still stood in the box next to Martinez holding his fucking hand. Like, I still don't get why he didn't... Luke Shaw's a very experienced left back. Very experienced.
But as I said, with Ten Hag encouraging Luke Shaw to kind of tuck in now and get involved with this kind of inverted role, one of the kind of drawbacks of that is the vacant spaces left where Luke Shaw would normally be as well, right? He's basically following manager's instructions, and they're being punished because of that.
Yeah, but wasn't a great game for him. A lot of people blaming Wan-Bissaka for stuff, but hey, we're not going to get into that personally.
Wow.
I
I thought
think
he
Wan-Bissaka was absolutely done an okay job. I don't think he was terrible throughout the game. I think he done okay. He was a steady Eddie yet again.
the best defender on the pitch there. Yeah,
Yeah, him and I'm going to say Varane did play okay. Better than Martinez. You know what I
yeah,
mean? He was. I think that right hand side was a lot stronger
yeah,
with Varane and Wan-Bissaka than obviously Martinez. But again, I don't think Wan-Bissaka was helped by Anthony. Really isn't. Personally.
yeah. I think when you are performing well and everything around you is going to pot, then it's only natural, I guess, for you to kind of get sucked into that and just end up looking as bad as they do. So
Mm.
yeah, unfortunate for Varane. Um,
Last
yeah,
thing I just want to say, Rashford is not a number 9.
no, we knew that. We knew that.
Well, we do. Somebody else clearly doesn't because he kept him on when he's got a proper number 9 on the bench, an actual person who can actually play the number 9 role okay and decent. You didn't bring him on, so yeah, we're not gonna
Yeah,
get into that. But
I thought him
um,
a box time ago as far as Rashford down the middle.
he's a left winger and he's a very good left winger.
Yeah, play him in his position. Come on.
Yeah. For me, the standout player of both the teams personally was Basuma. Absolute top quality, really, really good. And I like that Van de Ven. The centre back for them. Really,
Yeah,
really good. I think he's only like 21, 22 as well. Quite young.
baby.
Really, really impressed with him. But yeah, that Basuma Sarr midfield combo, they work well together. All right, Sarr's not as got as much quality as Basuma, but really, really impressive with them too. They're both quite defensive minded. I get that. But you don't mind that when you've got the likes of Madison in front of you, Son. Richarlison was terrible, by the way. Just saying. But
Do you think?
yeah,
So? Do you think so? Terrible.
yeah, I think he was terrible.
Oh, wow.
I don't. I really don't think he was great at all.
I'll
I
touch.
think. Yeah. Please do. Please expand on that then.
What I'll do is I'll let you kind of run through your key points and notes and highlights, and then I'll touch on everything that I saw from the game. I reckon that's the best way to
I
do it.
think Madison played okay. I think first half he got a little bit missing, and I think you noticed that. I think second half then obviously improved, and you've seen a little bit more of Madison, and then like even Madison on a 7 out of 10 was still pinging out balls and picking players out like for fun. Do you know what I mean? Son really really
That's,
good as well. Really
mm,
impressive for Son. Basuma top quality next to Sarr, as I said. Um, I don't like this for Richarlison up front. I really don't. I don't know whether it's just me being a negative mindset and just thinking, oh, look at him. Threw himself to the floor a couple of times, and like it was just throwing himself. Like he literally Martinez now who's what 5'9". If you're being out jumped by Martinez in the air, you're not putting enough effort in, are you? You know what I mean? He got pulled off. He had a little hissy fit on the bench. You know what
wow.
I mean? Come on, man. Stop having hissy fits. Stop putting it on the pitch, man. I really don't like the guy personally. Um,
Yeah, Joe.
Kulusevski is quite impressed with him. I still think he needs to get more into the game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look, he played really well again, and I think second half they absolutely dominated us. And again, I think that's because of Sarr and Basuma in the midfield, just absolutely running the midfield yet again. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with Manchester United, don't it? Every single game so far, what's the issue? No midfield, nobody running the show, and it's just us being absolutely run over yet again. What's your take on it?
Oh, yeah, a game that I actually managed to watch the full 90 minutes of. It was the first live game of the day yesterday, and yeah, as I was putting my notes together this morning, I noticed a couple of things. Firstly, I'll start on Tottenham. Obviously, they were hosting United at they call it the Tottenham Hotspur Toilet Bowl Stadium. Is that what it is?
Here we
Kind of looks
go.
like one. No, it's quality, obviously. Let's stop being silly. But yeah, Spurs were coming off the back of their 2-2 draw with Brentford away from last weekend. They were mildly impressive last week. A couple of iffy moments defending, hence obviously the 2 goals they conceded, but they still had enough in them to get themselves 2 goals themselves. They made a big kind of brave, bold decision in replacing the goalkeeper, a long-standing goalkeeper, Hugo Lloris, French national team captain, probably I think the most capped player in French national football history, which is quite a tell as to how good he is, or he was generally, all in all. But I think enough was enough, and he kept just making way too many mistakes, and he had to be sent back in. They brought in a pretty suspect-looking keeper, a youngster from Italy called Vicario yesterday, who I wasn't really all that sure about, didn't know much about. But
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, but as far as the notes go on him, that I noticed, I think he was fantastic yesterday. To be fair, he's very slim, very athletically built, but in a kind of slender kind of way. So he's got that natural athleticism there. I noticed he had a couple of absolutely top-notch reflex saves. Where kind of a ball is whipped in from either a corner or a cross. Somebody gets a flash header on it.
The one I think of straight away is the Casemiro header from that free kick. And he really, really good save that was, because I thought it was in. I'm not going to lie, I did think it was in.
Same. I think there was another one from Varane as well. The Varane header, right? Okay, it was right. You still got to be kind of fast and reflexive and instinctive to kind of palm that away. I like it.
He put the ball safe, if that makes sense, because sometimes the ball can just hit you, can't it? Sometimes, and it goes into a danger. He put the ball safe out of the line for anybody else coming in as well, which obviously shows that he's intentionally doing it, not letting the ball hit him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which is a smart one, a smart kind of move to make. Sometimes you win in maybe you're not losing the battle, but you're definitely securing the war. All in all, if you kind of go for that, okay, you concede in possession, fine, from a corner or whatever, but you've gotten rid of the immediate danger, which is to tip away your ball for anybody to kind of scramble up and follow it in, and obviously. Scrambler goal in off the back of that. I've got reflex saves, fantastic. Very composed as well. Young, fresh, calm, confident, sturdy hands. He looks strong, willing to be acrobatic in the way that he makes his saves, which I appreciate a lot. It means that he's not lazy. Very impressed. Moving on to the Spurs defense, probably.
I just want to touch upon something quickly with that, if you don't mind. There's a stat that I've seen which I have confirmed is correct.
Mm-hmm.
He had more passes and a better pass accuracy than Casemiro in the game. And that's for short and long passes.
There we go.
That says it all. So he had more passes completed.
Yep.
He had a better pass accuracy and a better long ball accuracy. Than a centre midfielder. Just want to put that in there as well. So they've obviously found a little gem there, I think.
Great point. Yeah, especially for a goalkeeper to do that against a 70 million 5-time Champions League winning signing, who's basically a midfielder and is bread and butter is supposed to be passing and receiving the ball. Yeah, that's quite telling, isn't it? And it goes hand in hand with every kind of compliment that I paid him. Composed, confident. United's no, I'll get on to that in a minute. But as far as the Tottenham defence goes, you had that Mickey van der Ven, that young Dutch kid playing at centre back, who a decent game-ish last season, and I think a little bit of a better game. Last game, and a bit of a better game this game as well. They decided to drop Emerson Royale, even though he scored a very good goal last weekend, but they persisted with Pedro Porro, their big January signing from Sporting Lisbon last January. Yeah, of course. He looked very good. He offered a lot going forward. Good energy, good tenacity. But the one standout for me in that Tottenham defence was the left back. I don't know if you saw him, the black kid.
I don't know how to say it. Udioji or Udoji or whatever his name is. I can't say his name.
Yeah, the Italian kid, Destiny Udoji, I think his name is.
Udoji, is it?
Udoji, yeah, that's it. That's
another one for you guys to clip up, Ben, of me butchering.
Yeah, I really liked him, man. He looked like a midfielder playing at left back. I wasn't even sure what foot he was, because there was times I saw he was dribbling with his right foot coming from left back. But yeah, he's another little gem in the making. It seems very powerfully developed, kind of happy and confident and ambitious enough to kind of have a go and weave through and try and burst beyond midfield. He's got like
done what Luke Shaw was trying to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but he's built very differently to Luke Shaw. He must be at least 6 foot tall. He's built very well. Gliding across that pitch, adding and contributing to the attack. Very impressed with him. That central midfield trio of what was it? It was Pape,
Sarr, Basuma,
and James Maddison. I I believe me, I will get onto Basuma. I thought Sarr contributed quite immensely to the overall game. You know, doing a lot of the work, the unseen work that doesn't really kind of
Hey,
go
you
with
know the
much.
mad thing about Sarr, which I did not
Go
realize.
on,
He's
go
only
on.
20 years old.
Yeah, he's a kid. He's a baby.
I was like,
Yeah,
wow, okay. You know what I
but his
mean?
two arms looking like breadsticks. Yeah, he's a baby, man. He's still got much more to go. But yeah, I appreciated his work in the game. Obviously, Madison in that midfield role, just at the tip of that two-man base there. Um, and obviously Basuma, besides Sarr, kind of contributing, going that way as well as going that way.
Hmm.
Eve Basuma yesterday, man. Yeah, absolutely mind-blowingly good performance. This is a guy who was signed for a cut price, 30 million from Brighton last season. Tottenham had themselves a couple of managers that they cycled through. Not one of them could get a single tune out of Basuma. But yeah, looking at him yesterday, he looked like a demon on smoke, man. He
Yeah.
was you could see it when he was contesting some of the decisions that went against him. I'm just looking at him in his eye, and I can see that there's like a renewed fire in there that just told me sometimes the look in someone's eyes can tell you everything about what's about to come from them or out of them or out of their mouth or in their actions. And I saw that from him, man. He was collecting the ball, he was dropping shoulders, he was breezing through, he was involved in everything good that Tottenham had going for them yesterday. And yeah, he looked like £100 million footballer yesterday, if I'm being totally frank and honest. And that's
Yeah,
quite
and
difficult.
there's some stats here that back you up in the sense that he won the most tackles out of the whole game. He was the most fouled player. Okay, so he's beaten his man, and he won every single duel in the game. Every
Undisputed.
single duel, which is absolutely unheard of. Let's be honest now.
He's undisputed. He's got all four belts. Yeah, unreal.
Which for a centre midfielder who's playing that role, that's perfect display, right?
Yeah, that was about as good a central midfield performance as I think I've seen in a long time in a big game like that. He took the game by the scruff of the neck. He pinched it by the scruff of the neck, and he kind of carried it over with him. You know, yeah, it was phenomenal.
Because
Absolutely phenomenal.
I'm a really big fan of obviously that Højbjerg they got. I really like him as a centre midfielder. I like the way he collects the ball, plays on the half turn, and powers forward. I really like that. Okay, for him to be dropped, I did think, oh, you know what, right? Why is that? I think it proved it during that game
This
why he was.
this was someone Højbjerg who was a fixture in the Tottenham lineup last season and seasons gone by, and probably a candidate for club captain as well.
Mm.
Yeah, for all that he does offer instability and work rate and what have you, Basuma I think is just on a whole other level of footballer. And whatever you do to get Højbjerg back in, you're not taking Basuma out of that team. Don't you dare.
No. I think with Sarr being so young, I think it's a good, good placement for him. Really, in the sense that with Sarr being so young, he will make mistakes. He will have the odd bad game. You know what I mean? And well, he's just a steady Eddie, and he can come in and replace him, I guess.
I think
Yeah.
I want to touch. I want forgive me. Sorry, I want to touch on James Madison's contribution to the game
Just
as
want to
well.
ask you about him.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought this is a guy obviously who's like been one of my Premier League favourites for the last couple of years. I wanted Arsenal to sign him. Spurs managed to get him for a cut price 40 million deal, obviously from relegated Leicester, which helps. This new look revamped Spurs midfield of Basuma, Madison, and whoever might fill that other role, whether it's Sarr or Højbjerg or even Bentancur when he comes back. I like the look of what they've got cooking there. Madison yesterday, I thought he had a very good game. I thought he was a little bit understated in his play, as in he could have been a bit more ambitious. But even playing at second or third gear, I still think he had enough to absolutely pull United all over the place. He was involved in much of the good attacking work, and yeah, a very, very fine player, sublime footballer actually, who only in a 7 out of 10 performance still managed to somewhat run the game. Yeah, brilliant signing for Spurs. Fair play, and a great
I agree. I don't think he was at his best yesterday, but he was still good enough to absolutely rip us apart. Richarlison, then, let me know about him. What do you reckon of him, man? Because I don't like him. I really don't like him.
Yeah, so obviously he's a bit of a divisive figure. I think Brazil going into the World Cup in January just gone. They had a toss-up basically between Bobby Firmino, who's like a world-class technician, probably one of the best first touches and link play from a centre forward you'll see anywhere probably ever in your lifetime. And I'm not over-exaggerating when I say that.
No.
Then you got Gabriel Jesus, who's obviously a little pocket dynamo as well. He's got every kind of attribute going: quick, fast, powerful, skillful, technical, determined, good strike, left foot, right foot, header. He's a pretty complete footballer and striker himself. And then you've got Richarlison, who doesn't have, who's the other central striker option, who doesn't have any of the bells, any of the whistles, any of the flash, any of the pizzazz, any of the sauce, any of the silk of any of those two. But he's the one who was chosen to lead the line for Brazil, and he was chosen because of his particular attributes and what he offers. And I think he is a more direct, a more dogged, a more aggressive centre forward than those two. And for what he lacks in touch, in class, in creativity, in quality, he makes up for with his physical attributes and his physical determination. So if you're whipping balls into the box and you need someone to fight and wrestle off two centre backs and create space and make runs for others to kind of slip into, he's your guy. So yeah, not pleasing on the eye at all, especially when you compare them to the other two absolute silky craftsmen. When you look at it like that, you can see why managers persist with him, because he offers things that help unlock the others around him to a degree that maybe the others.
But he got bullied by Martinez.
Well, yeah,
it was a really bad performance. Martinez did not perform well, and he got bullied by him.
Yeah, but Martinez, let's be fair to him, he's one of the most aggressive central defenders in the whole league. So that's not really kind of anything to be too downbeat about. I mean, you're there as a one man, you're doing all the running, all the donkey work. You've got two basically world-class centre-backs that you're up against. And I think he put in a good shift. I'd be pleased with him after yesterday. Would I expect more from him quality-wise and goal threat-wise? Yes. But then with the others compensating for that behind him and beside him, I can let him off for yesterday. Yeah, good shift.
We'll come back to that in a couple of weeks' time and see. But I generally think that he's a huge weak point at the moment for Spurs. I think they got everything else pretty much nailed on. I think up front they need. Personally, I'll be looking into the market for a striker. Personally, you know what I mean, for them.
Yeah, but the thing is, Al, not every successful team has to have a 20-goal bagsman or 25-goal bagsman. Sometimes, like the Liverpool team that won the Champions League, the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the World Club Cup, the Community Shield, right? Bobby Firmino was getting what, 10s, 11s?
I agree with that, but my argument is I don't think he's doing that. He's not doing that work either. So if he's not doing that and not getting 20 goals, what is he doing?
But there are other ways you can contribute as well. Sometimes, to the untrained eye, some of the unseen work, the dog work, the donkey work, that enables others around you to kind of enhance themselves and open up spaces for them to kind of add their bits of quality too. So you've got to look at it as a bit of a multifaceted kind of decision. It's not what he outwardly provides, it's what he is attempting that enables and opens and unlocks doors for others to go and do, for them to express themselves, the other more talented players around him. You got to bite the and take what a guy doesn't do and put it aside to let him focus on what he does do, so that then others can do what they do. Yeah,
but he's nowhere near on the same level as a Jesus or something like that. Nowhere near.
But for what he does and what he specializes in, he does offer more in those regards. He just doesn't have and as many weapons as the other two. Just let that one marinate for a second.
Yeah, we'll come back to that another time maybe. Yeah, so for me, I think United need to look at, as you can see in my video, need to review their manager situation and potentially do it sooner rather than later, and get someone in who can.
I said, finally, hallelujah! Eric Ten Hag out. He's been.
For me, you got a manager there available called Nagelsmann, right? Who is a top quality manager, who's done it with Leipzig, who's done it with Bayern, and he got removed from Bayern for being second in the league, in the Champions League quarters, in the final of a cup, and he got sacked. You know what I mean?
High standards, Bayern Munich. That's why high standards, the highest of the high. But
Hundred percent. But for
I think
me, I would love him at United, like
I
Els
think
would.
I think what you're better off doing is looking and focusing on the deficiencies that the current and existing manager has before looking at the next top model. There's a lot of things that I think Ten Hag has been responsible for these last 12 or so months, however long he's been in charge, that I think United fans have kind of just put their hands over their eyes, put their fingers in their ears and pretended that they haven't seen. When the rest of us on the outside of the red bubble have been seeing it from day one, consistently all the way through, right up until this point, in that he's pretty tactically inept. And I'm not saying him as far as his overall managerial career. I'm saying him right now in this pocket, in this window of time, as Man United manager. He hasn't looked tactically up to snuff. His squad, his lineups and team selections are baffling, questionable. Yeah, overly questionable. His player recruitment, his player profile, the way he identifies players, is suspect. And I think a lot of what comes out of his mouth in press conferences, his assessment of games, the way he saw the games, the way he sees defeats, the way he analyzes defeats, his conclusion on how his team played, I think he's a lot of the time he's completely wide of the mark as far as what the rest of us saw. I think that's something that United fans will have to kind of really let sink in and kind of admit to themselves. Looking at my notes, I've got basically in a nutshell that Man United look completely devoid of confidence in their own manager, their players do, and whatever he's trying to achieve, because he's making them look mid-level and he is actually taking them backwards. Their body language and their mannerisms, his body language and mannerisms definitely do not help that cause as well. I look at his body language on the touchline and the way that he reacts to certain things. I don't see somebody who is reacting in a way that I would be reacting if my team were looking and performing and looking and performing how United are. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then to top that off, I basically said that if passive aggressive was a person, Ten Hag basically embodies that. He looks like he can get a bit touchy about certain things, but he's very passive in the way that he does it. There's not enough kind of go in him to, so that's not a compliment, by the way, as far as passive aggressive goes. To say the least. No. After the performance at Wolves, we kind of looked at we were looking to the lineup as the first kind of tell as to what his response and reaction would be. And again, I'd describe that as being what? Passive aggressive again. You know why? Because he's ended up picking the exact same personnel, like for like, in the game, which means that there's no consequence for bad performances. There's no consequence for there's no kind of setting of standards. There's no settings for expectation, because if you go and drop a stinker like they did on Monday, guess what? You all get to play again the next week. So basically, there's nothing to keep you on your toes. There's nothing to make you look over your shoulder, behind your back, and worry about your spot and things like that. At the very, very top level of any profession, of any kind of organization, or wherever you want to be and strive to achieve maximum success, you have to have that element of fear in your place of work or your employment, or in what you do, what your ambition is, your passion, your craft, wherever it might be. You need something that gets you up and keeps that fire in your belly every morning. So the lineup right there just told me, no, this isn't it. I'm sorry. And then I looked at his post-match press conference. Obviously, they lost 2-0. And I saw him saying, I saw him immediately looking to kind of a dubious handball penalty claim that United wanted from...
it was a pen.
Right. But perhaps,
it doesn't take away from the performance, but I'm just saying it was a pen. But hey.
And I agree. I think it was as well. I think it was equally a penalty in the same way that the one at Old Trafford against Wolves last week was a penalty. So when people go on about these things cancel themselves out, I guess this might be just one of those instances. But if that's my manager and I'm asking him about the game and he immediately, instantly refers to a penalty decision, first and foremost, I'm worried. You should be looking to kind of the things that happen on the sidelines. How did my team perform? How did my troops that I put together, and the formation and the tactics and the drill instructions that I gave them, how did they implement that? And was my take and conclusion on the way that they implemented that? Not, oh, look, somebody took a shot or crossed the ball, so somebody else had their hand out, it hit it, so how come we didn't get nothing for that? Like, no, your team hasn't been performing for
Do you
many a
know what it
month.
reminds me of? And I know you're gonna hate this straight away, but it
Okay?
reminds me of Arsene Wenger back in the day. He loved to deflect like that. I know I'm not having to go at Arsene Wenger, top quality
No, do it.
manager, love the guy. But he used to do the exact same thing, didn't he, back in the day? You know what I mean? Like deflect and be like this, or this. You know what I mean? And stuff like that.
And I was never ever ever down with that.
Mm,
What could I have done to change things? Not what did the next man do or what the next man didn't do to help me win. What did
yeah.
I do? Did I do my most today to get things over the line? You know, and then we'll look at external factors afterwards. But look into that as your number one reference from the jump, from the get go, at the very first time of asking a question. I think that's a little worrying. When you
And the
look
issue
into it.
for me is that all I'm hearing is it's a second game. It's the second game of the season. Don't worry. No, it's not a second game.
No.
It's a season, a pre-season, and the second game of this season
Yes.
in. It's not his
Yeah.
second game.
Facts.
You know what I
Facts.
mean? But hey, you know what I mean? It is
You
what it
tell
is. People have got yeah.
you tell yourself whatever helps you sleep at night. Of course, United fans.
I do try. But hey, you know what I mean? For me then, obviously we may as well go on to now the next game, unless you got anything else you want to add quickly onto that.
United, in a nutshell, need a serious look and review at their management situation, and there needs to be conversations had where things need to either get serious or they need to start making heads roll. And I don't know, I don't care whether that's current personnel in the squad being sold and moved on, people being loaned out, people that are not good enough not being given game time, people that offer something else actually being given and afforded game time. Something fundamental needs to change there because what we're seeing right now is not working.
I gotta
Um,
say, I
yeah,
liked Palestra when he came on.
yeah,
He did
Bright.
show a bit of energy. I liked Martial when he came on. Okay, again, it was 20 minutes too late, 25 minutes too late. But when he did come on, he was a proper number 9, held up the ball, brought people in. He done that very well. I think we looked like we actually had a little bit of structure through the middle then, up front.
If you know,
And
go on.
yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, go on,
And I think Sancho came on and played really well as well. I think
mate.
the subs he made were good, but they were just all too late and not the right times.
If you notice, right, with Ten Hag's squad selection, all of the technicians, the ball players in the team were left out, right?
Yep.
Anthony Martial, probably the most technically sound and comfortable forward at the club, right? As far as ball control and what have you.
But he's got legs like breadsticks at the moment, so.
Breads like breadsticks, yeah, French breadsticks, might I add. Probably got Palistri, an actual legit out and out down the byline right winger, so a right-footed winger who actually plays on the right instead of trying to cut inside and do all that craziness that like a Garnacho would do. Bench Sancho, obviously a technician, that goes without saying. Okay, his form's not great, but you know he can definitely pull something out of the bag if you afford him the opportunity to do so. Uh, Donny van de Beek, okay, not the most reliable of performers, but he showed in his time at Ajax that he's
Yeah.
technically sound. You know, imagine Christian Eriksen next to him and the give and goes, the 1-2s, the triangles, the through balls, the creativity, the dribbling, the ball carrying.
He wasn't even in the squad though. Not even in the
All of
squad.
all of these elements that actual proper footballers can provide you, and they're all right in the bench. What does that say about my man Ten Hag? Your man Ten
Yeah.
Hag, not mine.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like when you bring in an Anthony and he's doing. Look, I've explained it all in another video, and I'm not gonna go over it and over it again.
Yeah,
Just go around in
crime,
circles. You know what I mean?
crimes against football, Anthony. Crimes off the pitch and on the pitch.
Yeah. Well.
That
Yeah.
performance,
Let's.
it was crime against football. Give him
Well.
extra years for that as well.
I do have to actually say that it's all allegations. Okay, so
Joke,
don't
joke,
sue us, please.
joke.
um.
Love you.
Next then I didn't really see much of this because I was too busy making a rant. Obviously the City versus Newcastle game. I'm just gonna say what I seen of it. I don't know if it maybe true or not. I don't know. Okay, so Newcastle fans don't hate me. Striker, obviously Haaland didn't look like he was up to scratch today. Yesterday, sorry. Looked like he was missing some opportunities. I seen him have 2 or 3 opportunities where I thought, you know what, like if that's Haaland on form or in his mood, he's scoring that. You know what I mean? The last couple of games he has looked a bit unsettled. I don't know what's going on with there. Whether that's just him being him or whether he is actually unsettled, I don't know. Foden absolutely had so much space, ridiculous, so much time in the ball. What I seen of it, I don't know how true that is.
He
Um,
creates time. He creates time.
yeah, and then he does that drive and run, and it just looks like he's unstoppable. You can't touch him.
Sublime.
Really
Absolutely.
impressed with Bruno Guimaraes, maybe saying his name wrong.
Were you?
I was quite impressed with him. Yeah, I liked him. I liked him in the midfield.
Impressed. I did.
And you didn't like
Yes.
him. Okay, we'll get into that in a minute.
I thought
And
he was
Almiron, I think, played really well.
super.
Personally as well. So
Great.
they were that was the standout situation for me. From the games really. But again, I didn't really see much of it because I was, yeah, bit
Uh,
preoccupied. So, what's your take on it then? You said
yeah.
you disagreed with Guimaraes, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I guess when you watch a highlights package and the compilation, obviously they're going to show you more of the best than of
Mm,
the worst. And yeah, having watched the Manchester City game against Newcastle at the Etihad, yeah, Bruno for large parts wasn't good. He wasn't good at
okay.
all. What I noted from the game was that yeah, I felt like I witnessed a strangely muted game considering the kind of size of the two clubs going head to head and the amount of quality available in both teams and the way they've been performing as well. Obviously, City getting off to a great start to the Premier League campaign with a 3-0 win against Burnley away from home. Tough game, but a really good kind of very kind of level performance in, and yeah, ran out 3-0 winners comfortably. A tough place to go as well. I think record championship winners. Must have had a record for goals scored or points or whatever it might have been, I believe, from what I recall, but don't quote me on that. So yeah, looking up to the game after being served up the Man United Tottenham one, I really expected big things out of this game, and I found it strangely muted. I feel like the game was suffocated a bit tactically because of one manager's tactics cancelling out another manager's tactics. And yeah, for large parts, a lot of this game, this contest was a bit of a stalemate, to be fair, to my dislike, and I almost kind of found myself wanting the game to kind of end prematurely because, yeah, although I was enjoying the tactical element of it, as far as the raw footballing aspect of things, it wasn't really quite all there for me, especially from Newcastle, man. Uh,
Mm.
the first couple of minutes in, I saw a couple of things that kind of bothered me a little bit. I think Sven Botman? No, it was Fabian Schär, one of the Newcastle centre backs. I think
Sure, yeah.
2 or 3 minutes in, I think he went down with like what was it? He went down. I think he was suffering from dizziness or concussion or something like that, and all the body language signs and the tells that I could see was like that he wasn't going to come back on the pitch. And I thought, oh great, that's bad for the game because one thing about Newcastle United is that obviously they're kind of building off the back of a really defensive, a resolute defensive base.
Yeah.
Proper centre backs in there, Botman and Schär. They've got probably the most consistent right back in the league in Kieran Trippier.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Burn is, yeah, he's obviously a very strange looking fella, 6'7" left back. Not really a typical size and frame and build and look for
No.
it. But yeah, they've got a stubborn, mean defence. And I think that early scare to Schär kind of set the tone for the kind of game that ended up being, catchy, little niggly fouls here and there, not really flowing at the best of times. Excuse me. And I just feel like, yeah, it set the tone for it. Another thing that followed that was the Ruben Diaz situation. There was basically a challenge from Anthony Gordon where Diaz was kind of a couple of yards clear from him. And Gordon, who started brightly, might I add, he started very brightly. He looked one of the best attacking outlets, but he kind of raked his boot down Ruben Diaz's his calf. And it looked quite innocuous when you watched it initially. When you looked at the replay, it was very, very cynical. So when you're seeing Gordon coming over to Diaz, who's writhing in agony on the floor, holding his calf and looking at the ref and complaining, Gordon's trying to kind of get off of this false apology and explaining like, look, it was this and that. I looked at the replay, I was like, no, mate, no, he was yards clear of you, and you proceeded to rake your studs down his calf just to stop him, like. No, preserve the card. And you know what? On another day, you're giving that as a red because it was disgusting. I hated seeing
Was it
that.
any worse than? Would you say that's worse than McAllister's one?
Much more cynical than McAllister's one.
So there we go.
The
The inconsistency in the refereeing is not great, is it?
McAllister's was a 50-50 that he gambled on and unfortunately lost. But the Anthony Gordon one, it was what 95-5 in favour of Diaz to kind of come away with the ball. Gordon had no chance of getting it, and he just took his trailing leg as well, not even the leg nearest to the ball. You know, he just absolutely raked down it. I hated seeing that. And I don't think that goes well towards Gordon's reputation for being a bit of an angry little pizza-faced sod. Who was pretty immature last season when you looked at him being hooked for the games. I think Bournemouth away it was. But he kind of did like this petulant thing, and then there was something else that he done as well. I don't want to go into it too much, but yeah, Gordon, as talented as he is, and he was one of the better performers for Newcastle, he really needs to fix that attitude because it is stinking. His attitude stinks.
Well, he had the worst rating out of any player. He had a 4.2 rating, so that kind of says it all, really.
And I think the sour taste in most people's mouths after seeing that, no matter how he played following that, I think has lends to that and has added to that, basically. Just as far as Erling Haaland, the first thing that you've touched on for this game, it's a bit of an elephant in the room, really, that no one wants to address for a 50 or 60 goal striker. And that's that he, for as quality and as elite as his finishing is, when it comes to technical things outside of the box, such as dribbling, just standard ball control at times, link play, there's a lot there that's ordinary, you know, and it feels weird saying that, but I think we're just going to have to get used to the fact that you can be an elite monster goal scorer and still be average in a lot of other elements of attacking play.
But to be fair, I don't think he was elite yesterday at his goal scoring. His opportunity is quite wasteful, and I think what I seen of it, I seen him have 4 or 5 chances, which I would normally expect him to score 2. Maybe I'm holding him at such a higher level, but that's what he is. Do you know what I mean? He is that high level, so I expect him to score them, and he didn't. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of shots that were scuffed, a lot that were dragged wide, a couple by inches, couple by millimeters, couple by meters. But yeah, you saw the deficiencies in his game yesterday as well. But I can't have the knives out for somebody who's just banged in 50 plus goals at the age of, what is he, 21, 22?
23. He's 23 now, but yeah, 21, 22, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Just something to take note of and just kind of keep an eye on, though, is those deficiencies in his game that he needs to work on. Julian Alvarez, again, being played in that unfamiliar kind of central attacking midfield role, even though he got himself a goal. Yeah, he did. And I described him as a valuable South American jewel who's extremely mature for somebody of his age and still with tons of development and tools and weaponry to add to an already semi-complete kind of base that he's got. So we haven't even seen his final form yet. Dragon Ball Z fans, obviously. That one. Phil, Nicholas, Anthony, Foden. Oh my God, yesterday. I'm not even sure those are his middle names, but it sounds like a good thing.
No, I don't think that's his middle names, but hey.
Yesterday he was absolutely sparkling. I mean, think of it. Yeah, 21 or 22 years old, I think he is. Phil Foden. You're being kind of pushed into a Manchester City team that's missing. It's got a big Kevin De Bruyne shaped hole in it. Bernardo Silva not playing yesterday as well, and a lot of that creative focus and emphasis has been kind of thrown onto you. For you to shoulder that burden, and he came through in absolute flying colours. I mean, balance, spatial awareness, touch, spin on the half turn, through balls, the dribbling, precise passing, link play. The boy has got absolutely everything you want as an attacking midfielder. Kudos to him. Obviously, my man of the match, and I think Sky's man of the match. Sorry, BT's man of the match yesterday as well.
Quality. It's mad though, the positions he's played so far this season, including pre-season: left wing, right wing, attacking mid, centre midfielder, and left mid of the 3. So he's very versatile as well.
Listen, when you've got technique, when you've got technical ability, right, you don't class yourself as a position, you class yourself as a footballer. Where do you need me there? Cool, I'll play there. You know why? Because I can play football. I'm not just a striker like Haaland, who's just limited to playing that role. I'm not just a right back. I'm not just this. I am a footballer. Give me the football in any position on the pitch, and I'm comfortable with it at my feet. I'll wiggle my way out of it, and I'll make something happen. And that's what he is. Fair play, respect him.
I did
The
want to
new,
say also, I like this Gavardiol, is it? The left back they've got. Really like him. I can't say
yeah,
his name. Another one I butchered. But
Guardiol. Yeah, Josko Guardiol is. I think he's 21-year-old Croatian centre. It only took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to see a clip of his compilations and highlights and stuff to know that he's probably the best young centre back on the planet. City have signed himself a real one. This guy's comfortable with the ball at his feet, both feet, proficient with both feet. He can ping long 60, 70, 80-yard passes that way, diagonals. He's good with give and goes. He's versatile. He's brave. He doesn't mind bursting through from defence and kind of taking the ball off the pitch, beating a couple of players as well, linking play, occasionally getting himself a goal. One-on-one defending, he's as strong as anyone out there you've seen. He's as fast as anyone out there you've seen. He's as powerful as anyone out there you've seen. Whether it's an aggressive slide tackle, whether it's a well-timed interception, or the reading of a situation, the boy has got absolutely everything. He's fitted in seamlessly to City. He didn't really stand out yesterday. Yeah, I'm expecting massive things from him, to be fair.
I just want to say as well, City haven't conceded a goal, right?
Yeah.
I know it's only first 2 games, but they've potentially got the best back 8 I've seen in any Premier League team in a long time. In the back 8, I mean, like, look at their bench. They've still got, who have they got on the bench? Stones still to come back. They got Ake. They got that Lewis as well. He's all right. You know what I mean? He does a job. You know what I mean? So they got all these players on the bench that they can still replace, and it still looks like a treble-winning team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's top class, and to keep Walker, I think, is obviously a huge plus as well. Obviously, him signing that new contract now as well.
Yeah.
So it's looking positive for City at the back.
There's one point of concern for me, and it's not concern as far as any kind of deficiencies defensively, but I'm noticing that this season a lot of their lineups in the last couple of games, the Community Shield, the Super Cup, the first game of the Premier League season, and today, is that it's littered with a lot of defenders and defensive players. Just looking through it, you've got Kyle Walker starting right back every so often. You've got Ruben Diaz next to him, Nathan Ake to the left of him. Then Guardiol's being shoehorned into this left back. You've got Johnny Stones either popping up in that central midfield, kind of the 2-man pivot, occasionally dropping back to centre back as well. And Rodri then on top of that also is very defence heavy, I've noticed, especially when you take away your Kevin De Bruyne's and you get rid of your Gundogan's and your Bernardo Silva's missing. I saw a lot of the expectation of any kind of attacking creativity to come from players that I don't really associate with kind of creative imagination in footballing sense. So I think
But when you've got a front four of the capabilities they can have a front four of, it doesn't really matter, does it? Especially when you've got a fit Kevin De Bruyne, you've got Alvarez, you've got Grealish, you've got Foden, you've got Haaland, you've got all these players. Do you really need a midfield that can actually be more attacking?
When you show me a Manchester City lineup of last season, I'm seeing Haaland at the tip of the attack. I'm seeing Grealish floating about on one flank. I'm seeing Mahrez floating about on another flank. I'm seeing Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in these little central pockets. And then I'm seeing Rodri just kind of at the base of that, just kind of anchoring that ship. Then, yeah, it looks absolutely stellar and frightening. But when you take away KDB, you take away Gundogan, you got Bernardo injured, you sold Mahrez, it doesn't hit in the same way as far as your fear of them unlocking you goes. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Kovacic did play a good role, I think, from what I've seen of it. I don't really know the ins and outs, but I still think he's trying to just get bedding in. I still think he's a lot more to it that he can do.
Decent, one of the best ball carrying midfielders in the league, but please, I know he's got the number 8 on his back now, but don't expect Gundogan things from people not named Gundogan. That's the warning I'll have for City fans expecting.
Gundogan's just top quality, let's be honest now. Anything else to add?
Yes, the Newcastle aspect of things.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch on the fact that I had big expectations for a tasty midfield battle yesterday because obviously from the first game, 4-1 victory against Villa, you had Tonali scoring, you had Joe Linton running guys ragged and pulling strings, and Bruno Guimaraes doing what he does. But yesterday I was left very underwhelmed by Bruno. He was losing 50-50 challenges. He was kind of being given the runaround a couple of times. Fair, I guess, because it's Manchester City, but Tonali as well looked really off the pace. I think he was hooked and withdrawn quite early in the game. Didn't really have the best of games yesterday. Joe Linton was kind of there and thereabouts on the fringes of it. I did expect a lot more from that Newcastle midfield, and I still do expect a lot more from that Newcastle midfield. But I don't think yesterday was one of their better days, to say the least. Isak, again, an absolute diamond that Newcastle have got in their weaponry. It's very kind of on the fringes performance. I actually thought Anthony Gordon was much more of a threat than Isak. A lot of things weren't coming off for him. Miguel Almiron, almost a forgotten man now after his exploits last season. I thought he was looking very lively, always looking purposeful and with intent, and looking to kind of penetrate the City attack and get things going. They brought Callum Wilson off the bench, and that young Scottish kid Anderson. I thought that they gave Newcastle United a different dimension. But
Barnes coming on as well.
Who's that?
Barnes.
Yes, yeah, Harvey Barnes, another very good weapon added to their overall kind of collection of tools.
Do you think Wilson's up to the standard?
Callum Wilson, I've always had the jury out on him, just because I've always felt like, to me, I worry about him as far as injuries, and I worry about him as far as body conditioning. But I don't worry about him as far as being able to be a threat and create chances. I don't think he's as clinical as someone with Newcastle United's ambitions should be or is. But I do feel like he is a very useful player for Newcastle to have in their squad, whether that's starting or coming off the bench. But I know that there are other levels that Newcastle can go and look at above Callum Wilson. And I think Newcastle fans deep down know that as well. Hence why he doesn't start games. He's obviously a substitute.
One other thing before I'm going to finish up, personally. One thing, Pep Guardiola making no substitutions. This is the second time in a row he's done this now.
Mm-hmm.
This is I think this is obviously going to affect them later on. You know what I mean? Obviously, you need to rest players, rotate players, get people playing as well. Especially, I know it's a tough game, but last week you could have rotated a lot of players. Why? Why not make a sub?
So, with the way
his bench?
With the way that City have recruited this season, it hasn't really been with the same kind of drive and purpose as in previous seasons. Obviously, coming off the back of a treble win, it's kind of almost difficult to improve upon perfection, really, isn't it? But their recruitment has kind of got me a little bit miffed. Yeah, they've recruited some good footballers. They haven't done that thing where they add quality on top of quality and then some in the same way that they do. It was almost kind of like an over bloated with quality feeling about Manchester City squads of years gone by. They almost had like an overabundance of quality, whereas now they've just got a set amount of it, So either he doesn't have all that much confidence in the squad that he's currently got at the moment to be able to feel like he can utilize some of the personnel off the bench, or he's proven some sort of point and just squeezing every drop out of them to get 90 minutes out of them. Yeah, strange.
Strange. Another strange one for me, Calvin Phillips still being on the bench. Still, I didn't even know if he's played minutes. 50 to 60 million, I think they paid for him, right? Or 45 to 50 million. My apologies.
Yeah, drop in the ocean for City, that kind of fee. So let's take that away. I would say. Two words for you, English. 2 words for you, English quota. We've seen signings for Pep Guardiola come in before, and they've not really been given a sniff in the initial stages. And then before you know it, they've hit the ground running. They've been given a chance. They've exploded. They've grabbed the position, and they've not given it back. But from what I can see, I don't see Calvin Phillips kind of breaking into that. He doesn't seem to have the confidence of the manager. Yeah, okay, every time the camera's on him, he's smiley, the vibes are good. The jokes are flowing, the banter, this, that, and the other. But it doesn't look like really he's got much hope of infiltrating that first team lineup, I'm afraid.
Especially when you got Rodri there, who's just simply world class. In a very similar position.
Best of the
But
best.
yeah, right then. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been a long one, but one thing Norrie's got for you.
Little sentence on Forest for you, from you. Forest and
Yeah, a little sentence I can give you one.
Friday.
Personally, look, the Forest game was the best of the worst, if that makes sense. The Forest was the best of the worst. Defensively, centre backs look very shaky. Sheffield played a couple of like long balls over the top, and they just seem to be getting on top of each other rather than communicating, actually sort the problem out. That's where the one goal came from. Personally, I'm really impressed with that striker. You can say his name for me.
One
That's him.
one Nigerian guy.
Yeah,
Not
really
the Forest.
impressed with him. I don't know how old he is. Don't really know. 26, 27?
Early to mid 20s. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
really impressed with him. Played really well. Just
and a good
an
athlete.
out 9. You know what I mean? Proper number 9, which you don't see
Yeah.
much of these days.
Right,
Gibbs White
right.
again, really good. Really
Yeah.
disappointed in Johnson. What I've seen of it, really disappointed in him.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is.
Being shifted about, isn't he, from his usual kind of right wing spot to a more central.
Well, he played
role.
right wing yesterday, so there's no excuse. You know what I mean? He should have been back, but hey, you know what I mean? All in time. The old Spurs boy, Aurier, is it? Aurier?
Yeah, captain of the club now.
Really good.
He didn't have a
Gotta
club
say,
but a season and a half ago, whatever it was.
really good. Totally, like, really secure. Really good performance from himself. 2 assists, I think he got. Maybe. I think I'm right there.
Right.
Really good.
Right.
But yeah, not this Worrell. Is it Worrell? Not really too sure on this guy.
Wales. Yeah,
really not too sure on him at the back. I think Danilo bailed him out a couple of times. You know what I mean? Again, another great performance from Danilo as well. But yeah, that's it really from me. Obviously that Nico Williams was playing. He was all right. Nothing spectacular.
Quite a Welsh influence throughout the squad, isn't it? They got the centre back, they got the wing back.
They got a Welsh manager as well, so you're gonna expect that, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, really, I do think Sheffield United are really in trouble. I really do. Watching that game yesterday, not great. Really not good. Midfield was okay. Nothing spectacular. You know what I mean? But the back 4-5, they played like a weird 3-4-2-1 kind of thing, or yeah, something like that. It was really bizarre. It didn't look like they knew what they were doing, if I'm really honest. But hey, you know what I mean? What can you expect from a side that haven't really invested either? So in the terms of Sheffield United, so for me, the best of the worst was obviously Nottingham Forest, and I think they deserved that win personally. Turner, still not a fan of him, mate. Really not.
I wasn't when he was with us.
He looked really shaky, man.
Feeble.
Yeah, and the goal that Sheffield United scored was brilliant. You know what I mean? Really good goal. Coming from the left hand side, opened it up on his right foot. Lovely ball into the top bin. But yeah, for me, again, he just doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look like he wants to be a first team keeper, if I'm really honest. He doesn't look like a first team keeper.
Well, I saw his Instagram post yesterday. He was pleased with the 3 points, so I know that much.
Well, there you go, then. Yeah, well, let's not go into that, but he definitely didn't put his part in personally. I'm not a big fan of him.
Body language tells 1,000 stories that the lips won't.
Yeah, anyone can put anything on there. Fucking Harry Maguire's the best player in the world if you read his Instagram stories, mate. You know what I mean? But let's not go into that, is it? So yeah, today's games, obviously, we got Aston Villa, Everton. Score prediction, quickly.
Villa need to bounce back after that hammering at St James's Park last week. I still see Everton as a bit of an ordinary side, so I'm going to look for an Aston Villa win, maybe a clean, comfortable 2-0 win. But maybe Everton might claw one back, so we'll call it 2-1.
Okay, I'm going to go 1-0 Aston Villa. And then the other game then is obviously West Ham at home against Chelsea. I'm going to go 3-0 Chelsea. Maybe 2-0 actually. 2 to 3-0 Chelsea. I don't think West Ham are going to score. Thoughts?
Yeah, Chelsea had a bit of trouble when they came to the Olympic Stadium to face West Ham last season. I think West Ham ran out comfortable winners, I'd like to say. Don't quote me on that again, sorry. But what I'll say now is that with all of these expensively assembled parts, especially the central midfield, the engine room, Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Romeo Lavia, it's going to be nigh on impossible for one of them to not impress, have an impact on the game, and for Chelsea to run out as winners against a weak and kind of mid-level looking West Ham team. We'll call it 3-1. It's West Ham at home. They'll get one. They'll get one back.
Okay. Caicedo obviously starting today. I know you're a big fan of him.
Well,
you hope he's going to start today.
Yeah, he might or he might not. But either way, I still think Chelsea have just got a bit too much going on. They look a lot more organized anyway. And yeah.
Okay. No worries at all. Right, and that's us. That's the three bios. My name's Alex. This is Nori. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Knock, any words for him?
Yeah, just obviously thank you for the support off the back of the last video. It's been very much appreciated. The compliments and the feedback as well. Been very well received. We take it back on board. As I said, with the audio issues that plagued the last one. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that right from Tad. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your wife, tell your uncles, tell your grandparents, tell everybody that you know who has an interest in football. And yeah, support the cause, man, because we want to keep this going on as long as we can and giving you the content that I know a lot of you are looking for. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys. Take care. Much love. Peace.